Now, in Python, the comments are written after hash sign. Anything after hash sign on a line is comment. I can have here some statement, and then after some spaces, I can have a comment. Or I can put hash sign at the beginning of the line, then the line will be a comment line. In Python, the preceding spaces are very important. There are no block characters like the curly braces in Java. You say if blah blah blah and you put a curly brace, you put some statements and close the curly brace, or you put public static void main and then a curly brace and the statements, Java statements in the main function, in the main method. And in Java, the leading spaces are not important. Although it is nice to use appropriate indentation, it is not so important for the Java compiler. However, for Python interpreter, it is quite important. If I have something like this, if I have a line and another line, and if I have one or two spaces or tabs, etc., before the second line, for example, I will get an error. Let's do it quickly here. A is equal to 40, and let's say print A. I put one extra space before print. If I just try to run it, I will get an error, unexpected indent. The indentation is very important in Python because it decides the blocks, the statement blocks. Now I can run it. By the way, let me move it here. OK. I will see the output will be displayed on debug.io window. This is the debug.io window in Wing Personal. Now let's put here an if statement. If, let's say, a less than 10. I will explain the if statements, etc. later on. And here, let's print a again. Now, after I enter an if statement, it is forced to have some indentation. Usually, one tab character is used for indentation. Now, if I have, for example, another variable, let's put here another variable, b is equal to 24. If I have, for example, something like this, print b. Now, this if statement has only one statement inside the if block. It is this one. If I put here a tab character, now this if statement has two statements inside. OK. So if I don't have any indentation, then it means that this if block has only one statement. If I have equal indentation for multiple lines, means that those statements are all part of this if statement. So the preceding indentation is very important in Python. We define the blocks using the indentation in Python. This is one major change between C or Java and Python. So you have to be careful. You shouldn't put any extra space or tab before a statement. Just necessary number of spaces or tabs should be put before every statement. Any programming language has some data types. There are 5 basic data types in Python. These are the basic data types: integer, float, complex, string, and complex number, string, and Boolean. As you know, in Java, string is not a basic data type. In Java, strings are objects, but in Python, strings are basic data types. We have only a single integer data type. In Java, for example, we have 4 different integer data types: byte, short, int, and long. In Java, there are 2 floating point or real number data types, float and double. But in Python, we have only a single one, just float. We have complex numbers that we will not use in this course at all. We can write something like that: 4.8 minus 2.1 j. J is here the square root of -1, the imaginary part of the complex numbers. But we will not use the complex numbers at all in this course. And the strings are, you know, are enclosed between either double quotation mark. In Python, you can enclose the string constants between single quotation marks as well. And Boolean, in Python, the Boolean values true and false must exactly be written like this, with capital first character and the rest lowercase. If you write all uppercase or all lowercase, etc., you will get an error. It will not be these Boolean values. The Boolean values are always written exactly with first character capital and the rest lowercase. So we have 5 basic data types. Maybe I can talk about a little bit about the type function here. Let me go in Python shell. When you install Python only, and when you open the Python idle, you will get the, let me open this one as well, Python idle. This comes with this Python idle. Idle is the abbreviation of the Integrated Development and Learning Environment. Here you can just enter single statements like n is equal to 23, for example. Okay? You just enter single statements. In order to write and run programs here, you have to just go and open a file, or you can have to create a new file. It will open another window. Then when you compile it, the output will not be easily accessible, etc., etc. So it is not very easy to use Python idle for writing programs, but it is quite handy. It's quite useful to just check single lines. Now, if I just use the type function here, it gets one parameter, and it gives me the type of the data. Type, for example, 124 is integer. Or when I say type, for example, 10 divided by 2, you may be surprised, it is float. I will explain why. Because the division always results with a float number. 10 divided by 2 is not 5, it is 5.0. That's why. I will explain this later on. So the type function can be used to check the type of something, like type n is int will be true. Type n is float, for example, will be false. Later on, we can write some programs where it may be necessary to check the type of something. Since in Python, you don't need to specify the type. As you see here, I didn't declare A or I didn't declare B. I just put B is equal to 24, but somewhere in my program, I can say B is equal to blah, blah, dot a number, print B. Now it is a float number, and sometime in some part of my program, I can put here hello galaxy. Now it is a string. So in Python, the same variable throughout a program may be of different data type. Here, when I define it like this, the previous B is just destroyed. I have a new B. And here I have again a new B. I don't get any error. It will run correctly. Okay. Here, as you see, it will run quite correctly. So in Python, there is no declaration. Python is not a strongly typed language. Java and C, etc., C++ are strongly typed languages. You need to declare every variable, but in Python you don't need to do any declaration. You just start using a variable, and if you need, you can put other data type in a variable. This is Python. It makes life easier. You don't need to declare anything. Anyway, there are 5 basic data types. Any questions so far? Is this understood? Here, if you just look and read my lecture notes, I don't put too many explanations because you already know at least Java, at least Java, and some of you know C or C++ or C#. So probably you will not get any difficulty here. About string constants, there are 4 ways of writing string constants. Data types, let's put here string constants. This is my whiteboard. String constants, how we declare strings, in other words. There are 4 ways of declaring strings. One is double quotation mark, anything after it, etc., and double quotation mark. This is the first way of declaring a string. The second one is single quotation mark, some characters, etc., and single quotation mark. This is the second way of declaring it. The third one is 3 times double quotation mark, anything between, and then 3 times double quotation mark. And the last one is 3 times single quotation mark, and anything that you want to put here, and then 3 times single quotation mark. Why do we need these? Assume that in my string, I have something like Jane told John, for example, hello. The string contains double quotation mark. So if I start the string with double quotation mark, it will end here, and I will get an error for this part. So if I have something like this, what I do, I just put here single quotation mark, and to the end I put single quotation mark. And now in this, between this first single quotation mark and the next single quotation mark, I have my string which contains double quotation mark. Or I can have double quotation mark, Jane said single quotation mark hi, for example. Okay, there's no, now I have in my string single quotation marks, so I start my string with double quotation mark. But if the string has both single quotation mark and double quotation mark, what I will do? Jane said hello. John replied, for example, single quotation mark hi. Okay. Now the string contains both double quotation mark and single quotation mark. So in these type of situations, I can delimit the string by triple double quotation mark, and of course end with triple double quotation mark. Okay, this is why this is where it is useful. If the string contains both of the single quotation mark and double quotation mark, then you can do something like this. And similarly, we can use the same thing with triple single quotation mark as well. However, if I have something like this, so let's copy this part, except the dot. Let's put it here. Now I will have a problem. Why? I have triple quotation mark here, but here quadruple quotation mark, because the quotation mark after hi, which is the last character in this string, is just followed with this one. But since it starts with triple quotation mark, it will end with those triple quotation mark. The last quotation mark will be outside. I will get an error. So I have to be careful about that. Okay, your string, if you have a triple double quotation mark, the last character inside the string cannot be double quotation, or the first character or the last character cannot be a double quotation mark. If I start with triple single quotation marks, the last character cannot be a single quotation mark. It can be a space or dot, no problem in that case. Anyway, we have 4 ways of defining string constants: double quotation mark, single quotation mark, triple double quotation mark, and triple single quotation mark. Of course, you can use inside your strings \n, which is new line character. Then when I print this string, If I just get this, Control C, let's go to my program. Let's say S is equal to this string, and then print S. As you see, the print function is used to print something to the screen. If I do this, this line is printed with this line 15, print S. Here, of course, the string contains these characters followed by new line and John reply type, etc. So, but when I print this string, of course, this will be on one line. It will go to the next line because of this new line character, and the rest will be printed on the next line, as we see here. Any questions about how to define strings? Is this understood? Okay. Let's continue with variable names or identifiers. In Python, a variable, let's put here something like this, variables. A variable name starts with either a letter character. The first character must be first character of a variable must be either a letter or underscore. Okay, and other characters, the rest, may contain either letter or digit or underscore. In Java, you will be able to use the $sign as well. In Python, we don't use $sign in the variable names or identifiers. We only use letters, digits, and underscore. The first character of a variable name must be either letter or underscore. The second and other characters of a variable name can be either a letter or digit or underscore. So, for example, A, Z, or capital A, capital Z, etc. By the way, case is important. Lowercase a and uppercase a will be two different variables. Here, for example, assume that in my program, I have something A is equal to 40 and capital A is 24. If I print A and A, by the way, in a print statement, I can print multiple variables. If I print this, I will get something like this, okay? So this A and this A are two distinct variables. So the case is important. I have A8, for example, starts with a letter, it's okay. Or underscore A8, underscore can be the first character, etc. But 8A cannot be a variable name because the first character of a variable name cannot be digit. So 8A is invalid. Or minus A minus 8 minus sign is not a valid variable character. The variable characters are either alphabetic or digit or underscore. So these are the valid characters. So minus is not a valid character, or space is not a valid character, and is not a valid character, or cap sign is not a valid character. While writing a program, it is meaningful to use good variable names, because when we give the program to someone else or when we look to the program after some time, in order to more easily understand the program, we have to use good variable names. If, for example, in my program, this A is about the number of minutes, it is not, instead of using A, it is better to use either min or not min, of course. Min is a function name. There is a function called minimum, a min function, which gives us minimum. So I can say minimum or something like that. Or if this one is about the hours, I will use hours instead of some A, B, C, or X, etc. So using meaningful variable names is quite important. It makes the program more easily understandable. Expressions. Now we have learned how to write variable names. What is an expression from Java or C, etc.? You know, an expression, I will write here expressions. Is there anything about expressions? Okay, let's put here expressions. For example, assume that I want to have A is equal to 7. 7 is an expression. It's a constant. This is an expression which only contains one constant value. Or I can say, for example, A is equal to B, or A is equal to B plus 8, whatever. These are all expressions. This is an expression which only contains a constant value. This is an expression which only contains a single variable. This is an expression which contains some operators and some variables or constants. Okay, so the expressions in Java are quite similar to expressions in Python, and in Python are quite similar to expressions in Java. So we have arithmetic operators. We will see more about this in the next hour. We can build more complex expressions. If necessary, we can use parentheses, 8 multiply, let's say, B multiplied by 8 minus C to the power D. By the way, double asterisk is a operator, is a arithmetic operator in Python, which is the power operator. This is C to the power D. The meaning of this is C to the power D. And let's say double slash, another parenthesis, H minus D multiplied by K, something like this, okay? So we have here slightly more complex expression. Expressions contains one or more variables or constants, and they may contain operators and or parentheses. You know this. There are, like in all programming languages, the Python has some resort words or some keywords. Like, for example, you cannot use if as a variable name. It's a special word. Or you cannot use for or while, etc. Or class. Where is class? It's, yeah, here, for example. So there are several resort words, keywords, that cannot be used as variable names. However, there are some function names. For example, if I have something like A is equal to, there is a min function, minimum of 24, 10, for example. I'll get the minimum of these two values, which is 10. If I just print A, I will get 10. Okay, 10 is the minimum of these two. However, in my program, I'm allowed to use a variable name with the same name with this min function. But if I do this, now this is working, okay? When I run this program, it works. If I do something like this, min is equal to 7, for example, now I will have some problem. Since I've used the word min as a variable name, it will not be able to understand this min function, okay? So although Python allows this, if I do this, for example, then I can just print min. I can do this, something like this, okay? I use now min as a variable name, but when I use min as a variable name, I cannot use min function. So in my programs, personally, I don't use min. I just say either min1 or something like that, so that it will not prevent usage of the min function. Now I can have A is equal to call min function with 42 and 20, for example, and print A. Now I will be able to use the min because my variable name is not min, it is, let's say, min1 or something like this, okay? I add one more character to the end, and now I have no problem with this. So although these are the resort words, there are a number of Python functions. However, if you wish, you can use Python function names as variables, but in that case, you cannot use those functions. Okay. So my advice is my advice to you is whenever you want to use those functions, don't use a variable name with the same name as the function name. Any questions about how?
Teacher, so we cannot overload functions in Python, right?
You can, but when this is not overloading. Yeah, this is kind of overloading, but this time you can overload. You can write your own min function, for example. Let's write min def a comma b. Assume that this min function will return the multiplication. Okay, it will not return the minimum, but it will return a multiplied by b. Okay, so if I do this, now I have overwritten the original min function. I've made it so that it will return the multiplication. Let's run this. 42 times 20, 840. So you can overload functions. But in that case, you cannot use the original function. Okay. Is this understood? Hopefully. If you want to use the original min function, of course, you shouldn't overwrite it, or you shouldn't redeclare it. And the original function can be simply used. Assignments. Do you have any questions so far related with variables or data types? Assignments. The assignments are quite similar to Java assignments, but we have two more operators. One is double slash, the other one is double asterisk. I will leave these two aside. We have the normal assignment operator, equal, a equal, blah, blah. 20 multiplied by 1.2, for example. Or we can also have, let's run this. Now I have 24.0. Now I can also, we also have plus equal operator, which is used to increment or increase a variable by the expression on the right-hand side. 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, on the right-hand side, I have this expression 6. So what is happening? A is increased by this expression. So this is equivalent, indeed, to A is equal to A plus parentheses, let's say 2 multiplied by 3. And the same thing is valid for the other operators as well, the other assignment operators. If I have here minus equal, it is equivalent to this. If I have asterisk equal, then it is equal to A multiplied by this, or slash equal divide equal as divide, or modulus equal is equal to A modulus the expression. Here I am putting the expression, the parentheses. Why? First, this right-hand side of the assignment operator must be evaluated, and after evaluating the right-hand side, the A is either increased or decreased or multiplied or divided or modulus or floor division or power is done. So here I have slash, and here I have asterisk. Now, you know the plus, minus, asterisk, and slash. However, in Python, there is some detail important about the division operator. If I have, for example, n is equal to 48 divided by 10. This integer, this is integer, and the result will not be integer in Python. Okay, the normal division operator always results with a float number. 40 divided by 10 in Java will result as integer 4. However, in Python, let's go to Python shell here. If I have 40 divided by 10, I will not get 4 as result. I will get 4.0. The division in Python always yields a float value. Okay, or 48/10, I will get 4.8. It will not perform integer division. The division operator always performs real number. Will always result with a real number, like 4.0 here or 4.8 here. Now we have another operator, double slash operator, which is floor division operator. If I have 48 floor division 10, I'll get 4. This is an integer, like integer division, okay, in Python or C. However, or if I have 40 floor division by 10, I will get again 4. Okay. However, if I have 48.0 floor divided by 10, I'll get 4.0. Floor division between two integers will result with an integer. Floor division between a double or an int and a double will result as a float number. However, the decimal part will be equal to 0. Okay, it will remove the decimal part and it will have 0. Or I can have, for example, 48 floor division 10.0. The result will be again 4.0. Do you see my screen? Do you follow me?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, thank you. So floor division, this is not named integer division. This is named floor division. It divides the numbers. If both are integers, the result is integer. Therefore, there is no decimal part anyway. But if one of the operands, if the first operand or the second operand is float number, the result will have 0.0. It's similar to the floor. You know the floor function in Java, or to take the floor of a number. In some languages there is a floor function. If floor function is applied, for example, to 4.999, you will get 4. Okay, something like that. So the floor division here just results in a number, an integer number. If both operands are integers, if one of the operands or both operands are non-integer, it will result with a number, with a float number, where the decimal part will be 0. Okay, that 0 will be the decimal part of the number of the result. What is plus plus? If I have, for example, let's say q is equal to 2 to the power 8. Double asterisk is the power operator. Okay. If you want to have x to the power y, what you will write? X to the power y. You will write it something like this. Okay. The expression will be like this. This is 2 to the power 8. These numbers can be either integer or float. It doesn't matter. The power operator will work in any case. So 2 to the power 8, you know the result, 256. Let's do it here. 2 to the power 8 is 256, for example. You can use the power operator, for example, to get the square root. What is the square root of a number? Power 0.5. Power half is square root. Okay. So if I have, for example, 196 power 0.5, I will be taking the square root of 196, which is 14.0. Since the power is not integer, the result is not integer, okay? But if both the number and the power are both integers, then the result will be an integer. 42 to the power 0 will be 1. 42 to the power 1 will be 42, for example, okay? So double asterisk is the power operator. So when I have something like this, a double asterisk equal 2 multiplied by 3, what will happen? It will take powers. The result of this expression is 6. So the new value of a will be power 6 of the original value, a to the power 6. Okay, so a will be replaced with its own 6th power. Or here, 2 multiplied by 3 is 6. A floor division by 6. You know the modulus. 48 modulus 10 will be, of course, 8. Okay. Or 41 modulus 2 is equal to 1. If you want to check if a number is even, check if even, what would we write? We will write something like if, let's say n, I want to check if n is even or not, n modulus 2 equal 0. If this is true, if this logical expression is true, then it means that n is an even number. Or to check if it's an odd number, of course, I will be putting n modulus 2 equal 1 will be true if the value of n is an odd number. Now we were talking about assignments. So apart from the usual equal assignment operator, we have 7 more assignment operators: plus equal, minus equal, multiplication equal, division equal, modulus equal, floor division equal, and power equal. That are, where did I do that? Did I erase? Yeah, here they are. Some examples about that. First of all, the right-hand side, the expression at the right-hand side of the assignment operator is done. Whether it is a single equal or plus equal, minus equal, doesn't matter. First, the right-hand side is evaluated, and then the assignment operation is applied. If it's a single equal sign, then this result will be assigned to the variable on the left-hand side. If it's plus equal, then the n will be, for plus equal, the expression will be added to n. The new value of n is the old value of n plus this expression. If it is minus equal, then the new value of n will be the previous value minus the expression, etc. Any questions about these assignments? There is one more. No. Okay, thank you. There's one more thing. The plus operator is also used for string concatenation, like in Java. And let's put it something here. If I have, for example, s is equal to hello, and then s2 is equal to galaxy. I have, for example, S3 is equal to S plus S2. It will be performing a string concatenation. Okay. S is a string, S2 is a string. Therefore, this plus operator is not now addition operator. It is string concatenation operator. Print S3, and we will get hello galaxy. In Java, when you have in Java, it will not work, of course, here, but in Java, if you write system.out.println something like this, if you just say value equal plus, let's say, n. Assume that n is an integer variable in Java. You can do this in Java. You can use the plus operator between a string and something which is not string, either int or double or whatever. You can do this in Java. In Java, when you do this, when the Java compiler finds a plus operator before or after a string, then what it does, it automatically converts the other thing to string. This is done automatically in Java. However, in Python, there is no such thing. There is no automatic conversion. Okay. So if I have, for example, something like this, if I have, let's say, a is equal to, I want to do something like this, and n is a integer variable 24. If I try to do this, I'll get an error message for this line. It will say can only concatenate strings, not int. Here I have a string, then plus operator, but I have an integer. So I cannot concatenate to a string an integer or float or some other data type. Okay. This can be done in Java, but not in Python. In order to do that in Python, we need to do some type conversion. Okay. Luckily, the type conversion is quite easy in Python. In order to convert something to string, either integer or float or whatever, we have str function. Str function just returns a string from the given object. So if I want to do this, what I can do, I can say str convert here, get the string version of the int n. Now let's say print a. I will have now a string which will contain value space equals space 2 and 4 characters. Okay, so type conversion can be done to string by using the str function. If I have a string, let's say for example I used a for something else, but now a is, for example, this one. I want to get a value, let's say k equal a, but I want k has to be an integer variable. Therefore, I want to convert this a to integer, so I just use the int function. Int function is a type conversion function. It will convert this string to integers. So from this one, I will get 248. Okay, and let's say let's print one more than k plus 1. K will be 248 plus 1. It will print 249. Okay, so another type conversion function is the int function, which gets either a string or a double and converts to integer. Let's see it here from the Python shell. Clear. Okay. Now, if I have, for example, 4.8 and I want to get integer version of it, so what I do, int 4.8, I will get 4. Or int a string, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. Then I will get from this string an integer value. And similarly, in order to convert something to float, I use the float function. Float, for example, 44. I give an integer. Float will convert it to a float number, 44.0. Or I can give it to float function a string, 2.718288182, for example, something like this. And then I'll get a float value. 1 second, my phone rings. Merhaba Şafak Hanım. Şu anda uygun değilim Şafak Hanım. Sisteme girdim baktım, ben dönemi 2023 yaptım. Artık yani herkes şeylerin APDF'lerine girebilirler. Rica ederim. İyi günler şimdi. Pardon. So we can use the float function to convert either an integer to float number or to extract from a string the float value. Okay. And similarly, we can write, we can use str with an integer to convert an integer to float, so to string, or we can write str and float number to convert it to a string, okay? To obtain a string from an integer number or a float number. So if I have a string and a number, either int or float, what I have to do before during the concatenation, I must convert the number, integer number or float number to string using the str function. It is quite simple. You just put str and the number variable. There are a number of other functions. The type function is a little bit specific. If I have, for example, type blah blah blah blah, I will get str. Okay, it's of type string. But the others are type conversion functions. You don't need to learn these. You only have to know str function, int function, and float function. These are the ones that we will be using frequently. You don't need to remember anything else. Okay, these three are important: int, float, and str functions. Any questions about type conversion? Would you like to have a break and continue after the break? A 10-minute break, and we can continue after the break, or I can continue my lecture if you wish. Which one do you prefer?
Sir, I think we will continue.
Okay, if you want to continue, it's fine. Now, about basic input and output. Here, you have seen that we are using the print function to print something to the screen. Our basic output function is the print function. Print will get 0 or more parameters. Let's clear everything here. Let's say I have n is equal to 4, m is equal to 18. I can have either a single nothing, or let's say it's one thing. Print n, it will print 4, or let's say print m, it will print 18. Or I can have more than one parameters, n, m, separated with comma. Let's see the results. 4 is printed, 18 is printed, 4 space 18. What do you notice from this? Print function prints its content and goes to the next line. So after printing 4, it moves to the next line. Okay, after 4, here there is a new line character. Here we have a new line character. Here the second print m prints this 18, which is the value of m, and after printing 18, it goes to the next line. So print function, after printing its parameters, prints a new line character, so it goes to the next line. Here I have two parameters. Even let's put another one, k is equal to minus 42, for example, and let's put comma k. What will happen then? It prints every item, and between every item it prints a space. Okay, and after printing everything, it prints new line, so it goes to the next line. So the normal way of doing this is that print everything with a space between them, and go to the next line. If I want to have, for example, a line between this 4 and 18, what I will be doing, I will just write here print function alone. With nothing, it will just print new line. So I will have an empty line after this, okay? Here, as we see, now we have an empty line here. So print with no parameter is just used to print a new line, to go to the next line. If you have more than one parameters, every parameter is printed with a space between them, and after printing everything, it goes to the next line. However, we have control in Python to print what between those items. Instead of printing a space between n and m and m and k in this print statement, if I just use the sep parameter, let's put here, for example, plus plus. What will happen? Instead of space character, this will print plus plus, the value of n, and then followed by plus plus characters, for value of m, plus plus characters, and value of k, plus plus and plus plus, as we see now. Or if I want to print those on different lines, print n, then go to the next line, print m, then go to the next line, print k in one print statement, what I will be doing, \n. Okay, so the separator will not be space, but will be \n, which is the new line character. It will print n, new line, go to the next line, print m, go to the next line, print k, like here. Okay, now in one print statement, I printed everything on different lines. Or I want to print comma and then go to the next line. Now I have this. So by using the sep equal parameter, I have control about what to print between the parameters. This is one thing. Second thing, after printing something, and let's say n and k here are printed, and then as empty line and this, etc. But let's remove this one as well. Assume that after printing n and k, we don't want to go to the next line. Print statement normally after printing its parameters go to the next line. I want to stay here so that next print will continue on the same line. So I need to control the end character, and end equal is for this purpose. If I put here end equal empty string with nothing, just double quote with nothing in between here, what will happen? It will print n, a space, and k, and instead of going to the next line, it will stay on the same line. When I run it, I'll get this. This 4 space minus 42 is printed with this print statement on line 4, and the print m statement on line 5 continued from that position, and the value of m, which is 18, is printed there. Here I said that don't print new line, print nothing with an empty string in the end parameter. Or I can have here, for example, end equals space, print n, space k. This is what print does. And then instead of going to the next line, just print a single space. Like here. Now, 4 minus 42 n. This space are printed by the print statement on the line 4, and on print m on line 5 just continues from that position, and it will print 18. And since there is no end blah blah, it goes to the next line. Okay, it goes to the line here, and here we are printing from the next line for 1842 with comma and new line are printed in this line 6. So we have full control what to print between elements using the sep, and what to print after printing everything using the end parameters. There are two parameters. Sep parameter controls what to print between elements, and end parameter controls what to print after printing everything. Either go to the next line or stay or whatever. If you don't, the default of AND is \n, and the default of SEP is just a single space. Okay, these are the default values. If the default is a space for separator, you don't need to put this. If the default is \n for the AND character, you don't need to specify that. But instead of going to the next line after printing everything, if you want to print some other thing, then you just use AND equal parameter, AND parameter. Or if you want to print not a space, but some other thing between items, between parameters here, then you use the SEP parameter. SEP equal. Now we will have 4 arrow 18 arrow -42. Okay, something like this. Is this understood with for print? Is print function is understood? I will continue with input function. Now we want to input something from keyboard. As you know, in Java, you have to create a scanner object, and using the scanner object, you have to write next int, next double, next line, etc. to input either an integer or double or string, etc. In Python, it is much more simpler than this. We have an input function, input, which accepts a string. What happens? Let's say enter an integer. This string is displayed on the screen, and then it gets some input. And the input is taken when you press enter from keyboard, okay? And this returns a string. It doesn't return an integer. Input function returns a string. It displays its parameter to the screen and gets a string. If I want to convert, if I want to get, let's just write a is equal to enter an integer. And I will do two things, print a and print the type of a to see what is a. Let's run this. 42, but this 42 is string. It's not integer, okay? So input function returns a string. But I want to get an integer. So what I need to do, we have learned a few minutes ago, this. Use the type conversion function. With with input function, we get a string. And then by using int function, we convert this string to integer. So if I want to get an integer, let's say n, I put this everything as parameter of int function. So this int function has this parameter, has this input function call as parameter. This input function call will return a string, and this string will be converted to int, as we have done it here. We have int and something like this, okay? Now assume that I've entered 48572 and pressed enter when I saw on my screen enter an integer. Then what will happen? This input function will give me a string, and with this int function, this input function value, or this input function call is parameter of the int, so it will execute first. It will execute first this input function. I'll get a string here, and this string will be now the parameter of the int function. It will be converted to integer, so n will be integer. Let's run this program. 4 to 8. It is integer. Okay. It printed 4 to 8, and you see that it is an integer. So this is how to input an integer. Let's do all of them. S is equal to input, enter anything. Print S, and let's also print type of S on the same line. Print n and comma. Let's print type of it on the same line. And if I want to get a float number, floating point number or real number, what I will be doing, after getting input, enter a number. I will convert that string to float. This is x, x, and x. Let's run this. Enter anything, blah blah, etc. etc. This is my string. Which of class string. Enter an integer. This is an integer. Enter a number 42. As you see, although I entered 4 and 2, 4 and 2 is converted to float, so it is 42.0. And x, type of x is float. Okay. So this is, we will, throughout the semester, almost always, we will input values from keyboard like this. If you want to input a string, we will just call input function alone. If you want to input as integer, we will call input function as a parameter of the int function. Or in other words, we will convert the string returned by input to integer to get an integer. Or if you want to read a float number, we will have input blah blah blah, enter a number or whatever, and then the string returned by the input from the keyboard will be converted to float, and we will have a float variable. Is this clear? Here in my lecture notes, there are very few explanations. I've explained in much more depth here, but everything is here. This is just a brief summary of how to input or output things in Python. Okay, let's continue with operators and control flow structures. If you don't have any questions, I want to continue with this subject. Let's see, by the way, I want to check here, let's go there, this one. Unfortunately, I have to move my windows down a little bit. Okay, let's go and check from here our syllabus. Week 1 operators, selection statements. Normally, we should continue with operators and selection statements, which means if statements. I will try to go as far as possible. I will explain operators, and if we have some time, I will continue with selection statements, which is if statement. Or if we cannot come to this one, I will continue selection statements next week. Okay, I will do selection statements, loops, and functions next week. So let's move on. Operators. We have learned now those floor division operator, modulus operator, power operator. Like in Java, there are also unary operators, plus and minus. Normally, the unary plus is not used at all, but unary minus is used, like -2 blah blah blah, or you can say have something like, for example, in a statement you can have like A is equal to B multiplied by -C. This minus here is not subtraction operator. This is unary minus operator. it just makes the during the computation of this expression, it takes the negative of C. Okay, it uses the negative of C in this arithmetic expression. So this is the unary minus. We can have here plus, then it will be unary plus, but as you know, we almost never use unary plus operator. By the way, what I did, I made a mistake. This was. Why? Because this program was related with a prime number stuff. Okay. I will close this. I will use this one. Okay. Then we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, floor division that I've explained, like integer division, but if one of the operands is float number, the result will be something .0. Modulus operator, same as the modulus operator in Java, and power operator is to take power of some other variable. We have, like Java, the same comparison or relational operators, double equal to check for checking equality, exclamation mark equal to check inequality, greater than, greater or equal, less than, less than or equal are to check for these features, okay, for these comparisons. In Java, the logical operators are just words. Not is the not operator, the word and is the and operator, and or is the or operator. Let's see here in the program. If I have, for example, A, B, C is equal to assign 2 to A, 7 to B, minus 4 to C. This is called simultaneous assignment. At the same time, the first value on the right-hand side of the equal operator is assigned to this one. The 7 is assigned to B. The minus 4 is assigned to C. So in one statement, instead of writing 3 statements, A is equal to 2, B is equal to 7, C is equal to minus 4, I can write a simultaneous assignment statement in which I will assign multiple values to multiple variables. Okay, we can do things like this in Python. It is quite easy to write programs in Python, and this is one of the nice features of Python. So now let's write an if statement. If A less than 10 and for example, or let's start with or B multiplied by 2 greater than 28. So let's say or C divided by A is equal to 6.0 or 6, doesn't matter. So first of all, as you see in if statements, we don't use parentheses. And an if statement is finished with colon at the end, okay? The colon ends the logical condition here. And after that, I can write my statements. If this is the case, then do whatever, print A, B, C, otherwise don't print it. If this logical expression is true, then naturally this if statement, the inside if statement will be executed. Now here I have or and, sorry, and this, let's make this and. I have those logical operators. In Java, as you know, the AND operator is double AND sign. We don't have this in Python. In Python, we have AND operator, okay? And in Java, we have normally double vertical sign, which does not exist in Python. In Python, we have OR operator. Or I want to get the logical reverse of this one. If this is whole is true, I will make it false, or if everything is false, I want to make it true. So what I have to do, I enclose everything between parentheses and put a not before. Oops, sorry. Like that. So not is the not logical operator in Python. Or is the or operator, and is and operator, and not is not operator. So we do it something like this. Forget about bitwise operators. The bitwise operators are used to shift bits of some data, or make bitwise and bitwise or bitwise not operation. So we will not use this at all in this course. We have seen assignment operators in a few minutes ago. So here what are new. The logical operators are not, and or keywords. The comparison or relational operators are same as Java, double equal sign, exclamation mark equal, etc. So using these operators, we can build logical expressions. With using the comparison operators, logical operators, and arithmetic operators, etc., we can build logical expressions like this. I've talked about modulus power operator, blah, blah, blah. You know this. I don't want to repeat this because you know this from the Java programming language. So I will move faster. You know the truth tables. When you have AND operator between two logical values, assume that A and B are some expressions, logical expressions, which are either true or false. What is the truth table for this? A can be false, B can be false, or A false, B true, A true, B false, or A true and B true. These are the 4 cases for A and B. In order to have some, the result of the AND operation, AND logical operation between two logical values is false. If any of these is false, the result is true if both A and B are true. Okay. And for OR operator, the result is true if anyone is true. Here B is true, here A is true, here both is true. So for those 3 cases, A or B is true. But if both are false, then OR operator results as false. You know this at least from CS 101, from your 101 program introduction programming course or Java course. Anyway, so it will not be too difficult for you to write now logical expressions. Here we have some logical expression, t greater than u, and we have not in front. So what will happen? The result of t greater than u will be either true or false, and not will make it the other one. If the result of this one is true, it will make it false. If the result of t greater than u is false, then not false will give me true. Not has a low priority. In Java, the not operator exclamation mark has a very high priority. Okay, this is one of the big differences between Python and Java. In Python, not operator has a low priority, whereas in Java, the not operator exclamation mark has a very high priority. So you can use it like this. In Python, for example, in Java, for example, you had to put this between parentheses. Okay, not parentheses, blah blah. I used here not because I want to apply or and AND first and not later on. Not has higher priority than AND and or. That's why in this expression I used a parenthesis here. I want to take the truth value, true or false, of this whole expression and then use not afterwards. If I just put this one, what will happen? If I just omit this parenthesis, it will take the not of the first part before or, okay? Because not has a higher priority than or, Therefore, before executing this or before executing this AND, this NOT will be executed. And since its priority is below the arithmetic operators, these are arithmetic operators, or the logical operators, etc., NOT comes after those. Therefore, first A less than 10 will be done, and NOT will be performed after those. But if I do it like this, it will take the negation of only A less than 10. If I want to take the negation of everything, of course, naturally, I have to put parentheses there. You don't need to memorize this, but from Python, so from Java, you know that multiplication, division, and modulus have higher priority than addition and subtraction. It is the same thing here. However, in Python, as you see, power has a quite high priority, even higher than unary plus and unary minus. And then we have power operator first. Forget about the unary operators. Then we have multiplication, division, floor division, and modulus operators, and then addition and subtraction. Of course, we can put here one more plus, which is string concatenation. Okay, string concatenation and addition subtraction has same level of priority. So all you need to know is that OR has the lowest priority. Then before it there is and before it there is NOT. NOT and OR and OR have the least priorities. Of course, there is one more, which is assignment operators. Assignment operators, we can also put here something like, for example, equal, plus, equal, minus, equal, etc. We can put the assignment operators here. All assignment operators have less priority than any other operators. Okay. At the end, we can also put the assignment operators. Assignment operators are at the bottom of the precedence of operators table. What else can I say about operators? Do you have any question about operators? Anything that you don't? Do you have some question in your mind about operators? Then we can continue with if statement and finish our lecture after the if statement. Here I've written an if statement, but I will write a much more simple one. A modulus 2 equal 0. Let's put here, for example, 48. Now, in if statement, after if, you don't need to put any parentheses, but putting a parenthesis doesn't do any harm anyway. If you wish, you can put parentheses, but in Python, you don't need to put a parenthesis. However, after writing the logical expression in an if statement, at the end of this line, you must put colon. If you don't put colon, you will get an error. This is the syntax of Python if statements. And then what we can say, print a comma is even. What I'm doing in this print statement, it will print the value of a, which is 48. And as I said before, in print statement, it prints the parameters with a space between them. So it will print 48, then it will print a space, and then it will print is even. So 48 space is even will be printed if this condition is true. 48 modulus 2 is equal to 0. So 48 modulus 2 equals 0. Compared with 0 will be true. Therefore, A is even will be printed. Okay. Let's make this 49. Of course, then 48 is even will not be printed. 49 modulus 2 will be equal to 1. 1 equal 0 will be false. Therefore, inside the if statement will not be executed. Let's put here one more thing. And b modulus 2 equal 1. A is even and b, let's say, is odd. Okay. What we have here in this if statement, here we have a logical expression which contains the AND logical operator. And before the AND, we have a modulus 2 equals 0, equal 0, which checks if A is an even number, B modulus 2 equal 1, which checks if B is an odd number, and then if A is even and B is odd, then this logical expression will be true. Therefore, inside the if will be executed. So let's run it, and we will see that B is 7, or A is 40. Let's put it 48. Now that will be okay. 48 is even, and 7 is odd. Okay, we have something like this. We can also have more than one statements. What we can do, print, open parenthesis. Let's put this in the next one. Okay, something like this. So since we have equal indentation here, it means that both of these two statements are part of the if statement. If I have here, for example, if I just do it something like this, then this B is odd is outside this. Whether B is odd or not, let's put here, for example, 9, not 9, 10. It will print 10 is odd, which is not correct, because this print statement is not a part of the if statement, because it's not equally indented with other statements in the if statements. Okay, so I have to have equal indentation in an if statement. Here I have a tab character. I will try one thing. Instead of tab character, assume that I want to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. Let's check if this will be 48 is even and 77 is odd. I'll get an error. Although to my human eye, I see that they are equally indented, but they are not. Here, there's a single tab character, but here, instead of a tab character, there are several spaces. Okay, so you have to use the same indentation in both. Now I've converted this space to tab. There's a single tab character, so it's okay. So the preceding spaces or tab characters of Python statements are very important. They define the blocks. Now both line 3 and line 4 are statements of the if block. We can use else. And after else again, like here in the if statement, we must put column. This is the Python language feature. And let's say otherwise. Now let's change one of the values. Let's say 88, which is not odd. This is B, okay. B modulus 2 is not odd, so this will not be true. This will be true, but that part will be false. True and false will be false. Therefore, it will go to else and print the otherwise stuff. Let me check here. Okay. If else. You know this from Java anyway. That's why I'm moving fast. I'm not going to too much details. Do you have any questions about if statements so far? Okay. Nested if statement. What's a nested if statement? If we have an if statement inside another if statement, then we have a nested if statement. Assume I have this type of variables. Oh, what happened here? Okay. Now I have gender equal, for example, F. Oh, what's happening? Gender equal F. And let's say age equal 20. Here I will write some if statements, or more precisely, some nested if statements. If gender equal, I can use either double quotation mark or single quotation mark to delimit strings. So this is same thing. Either double quotation mark F or single quotation mark F are same. Okay, there is no difference. In Python, use both delimiters. If age is greater or equal or less than, let's say 18, if it is less than 18, then let's say person equal girl. The gender is female and the age is less than 18, so we will call that person. Otherwise, we will call that person as, for example, woman. If part, and I have an else. Of course, this else has the same indentation with if. So this else is the if of this if. This else is the else of this if. Okay. So which is, let's put here a comment. For male. For male, I have this part. And I will just copy these 4 lines here. Then boy, then man, then let's print hello, comma, person. Let's run this first and then let's explain afterwards. Hello woman. Why it printed hello woman? It seems that person is woman. Why? Because gender is F. Therefore, if gender equal F is true, it goes inside the if part. And age is 20, age less than 18 is false. Therefore, it goes to the else of this if, and person is woman is assigned. Now this if is finished. Therefore, it jumps and goes out of this whole if statement and prints hello woman. Now let's change this 20 to 12. Gender F is true. Age 12. 12 less than 18 is true. So the string girl will be assigned to person and it will print hello girl. Let's change this to M. Gender is equal to F is false. It will go to the else part. Age 12. Age 12 less than 18 is true. Therefore the string boy will be assigned to person. It will print hello boy. Let's make this 120. A very old man. Then we will see this. Gender equal F is false. So it will go to the else part. Age less than 18 is false. Therefore it goes to this else part and we will have, it will assign man to person and it will print hello man. This is one example of the nested if. As you see, the indentation defines the structure of the program. Now, another type of nested if. Assume that we have, for example, a grade equal 78. And assume that, I will change this part later on. If the grade if grade is greater than 90 or greater or equal to 90, then the letter grade at GR will be equal to A, or in your university, AA. Okay. I will simplify my program, so I will not use BA, BB, CB, etc. I will just use the AA, BB, CC, etc. I will just simplify my program. Now, instead of having else and then if again, what I will have in Java, in Python, you write elif. Else and if are combined together to be written as elif. If grade is greater than or equal to, for example, 80, of course, here, then let gr equal blah blah will be here. Now this time, let's assume that this is BB. And let's copy these two lines. CC, I will change this DD and FF for, let's say, else. Assume that as long as it's greater than 65 CC 50 DD. What we are doing now, here I have a second form of nested if, which is an if else construct. Here, of course, at the beginning, the first condition, the first logical expression is checked. If it is true, the first part, that there can be either a single statement or multiple statements here. I could have here, oops, sorry. I could have here some other statements, okay? I can have here some other statements, it doesn't matter. Because the indentation defines a block, okay? So these statements will be together with this let gr equal AA in the if block. So since this condition is true, it will execute this and it will finish the whole nested if block or nested if statement. This is the whole nested if statement. If, elif, else. If the first condition is false, then only in this case, the second condition is checked. Since this is false, we are sure that grade is not greater or equal to 90. It is less than 90. When we come and check the second condition here, we are sure that the first condition is false. So we don't need to write grade less than 90 and we can do this, but it will not help much because this is, sorry. You can write it like this, but this is already for sure because in order to check the second condition, the first condition must be false. If the first condition must be false, then it means that grade is already less than 90. Otherwise, if it were greater or equal to 90, it would execute the third line. Therefore, here I don't need to write this again. This is for sure. This is ensured. So I can only write grade greater than or equal to 80. So the same thing applies to the other conditions. Here I don't need to write this, or here I don't need to write that, okay? Because the conditions are checked in sequence. First condition is checked. If it is true, that block is done and it continues outside the whole if elif else structure. If the first condition is false, then this is for sure, so I don't need to write that part. Greater or equal 80 will be enough. So if this condition is true, it will execute this block and continue with line 12. It will skip the whole if elif else group. Similarly, if this is also false, then it will come here. This will be for sure. We don't need to write this. If the third condition is true, then this statement is below is executed, or statements here executed. As I said, there could be here other statements. All these statements are executed, and it continues with outside the false structure. If all conditions are false, then the else part will be executed. This is same as the if-else-if constructs in Java. Any questions about that? I hope this is understood. I will do one more example with this, and I will finish my lecture for today. Let's say, assume that we have a language code, or let's say lang equal input and enter language code, enter lang. I will just abbreviate. We don't have enough time. N for English, or FR for French, for TR for Turkish, JAP for Japanese, and let's SP for Spanish. Let's cut it short. User will enter either N, FR, TR, JAP, or SP. So depending on the language code that the user enters, let's say if lang equal, let's say not N but eng, FR, blah blah. Then greeting it equal good morning. So if the language code is equal to not eng but FR, what we will do, if it is FR French, greet equal bonjour. Okay, let's change this. Morning with bonjour. And let's copy this. If the language code is Turkish, TR, günaydın. Language code is Japanese. If the language code is Spanish, do you know what is good morning in Spanish? Buenos días. German. Guten Morgen. Else, greeting is, let's write here unknown language. Okay. And print. Now let's run this program, and then I will explain quickly. Assume we are entering, for example, Japanese. Of course, it's same with line with this one here. Then it will write konnichiwa. Now what we are doing again here, a nested if, where we check not ranges. In the previous example, for grade, we were checking if grade greater than 90, greater than 80, 65, etc. We were checking with ranges. Here we are just checking for equality. Okay, if lang is equal to eng, do this part. Otherwise, if it is equal to FR, do this part. Otherwise, blah blah blah. So we can have this type of things. In Python, there is no switch statement. Probably you can do something similar to this one in Java using a switch statement as well. Although I prefer if else if statement in Java for this purpose anyway, but you can use a switch statement, but in Python there is no switch statement. So you have to do with if-elif statements. Okay. This is an example. This is another example of if-elif statement. We have conditions here. Of course, the conditions could be more complex than these. These are very quite simple one. we check for equality of the same variable against different values. So this is an example of if-elif. As I said, any state here, the blocks can have more statements. Okay, they are not limited, of course, to single statement. The preceding space defines a block. So these three statements will be part of this elif part. Okay. Let me look. Okay, nested-ifs here. There's female 20 blah blah blah. I've done this example. I've done this example. Here there is one more: Turkish, English, French, German, Italian, Spanish. Buongiorno is the Italian one. I replaced Italian with Japanese in this example. Anyway, so these examples are here. Another one, hour, enter hour. If less than 12, you say you print it is morning. If it is between 12 and 14, it is noon. If it is after 14 and less than 19, it's afternoon. If it is not less than 19, but up to 23, evening, otherwise it is night, etc. So you can have things like this. Here again, there are ranges. Of course, these hours are not a very precise one. If the hour is less than 5, 6, then it is night anyway. But anyway, so here we have another example of if-elif structure. Any condition is controlled only if all previous conditions are false. If the first one is false, then and second one is false, etc., then the next condition is checked. This is the main purpose, main feature of if-elif statements. So you shouldn't forget that if any if a condition is checked here, only the other ones are false. For equality, there is no problem. But for ranges, you don't need to specify one part of the range, because as in the previous example here, let's go and do the previous example. I will just quickly show the previous example. Okay, this one. Here, for example, since we have some ranges, since the second condition can only be checked if the first condition is false. For example, in this example, grade have to be less than 90. So I don't need to write here grade less than 90 and I don't need to write that part. This is one of the small points that needs to be remembered. If you do it like this, it is not wrong. It is still correct, but writing this grade less than 90 and is not necessary. Okay. Any questions? This is the end of my lecture for today. Do we have any questions? Please don't forget to go to ankbilim.info. Okay, go to ankbilim.info. It will redirect you to some other address. Perform student login. Click on SENG-340. Download my Python programming language document from here. Even download the Python questions, exercises, Python errors. You can just click on this download button to download quickly the document. This is a Python book by some person, Kent Lee. It is okay. There are this is one of the good books. So you can download this one as well if you wish, but don't tell anybody because probably it's not permitted. They should have probably some copyright issues, but anyway, I put the book here. Here there are some questions and exercises, as I said before. Here there are some common Python errors. Don't write, for example, n subscript 1, write n with 1 at the same size as n. This is not a variable name. this can be a variable name. Subscripts or superscripts are not part of the variable names. Some students use for less than this sign. This is a mathematical sign, not programming language sign. Okay, for less than or equal, use less than sign and equal sign together. Not equal and less than, but it is first less than, then equal, etc. Here I put some errors that are frequently done by students during the exams. This is only one-page document. Okay, so before midterm, please just check this one. Just look at this one. So I advise you to go to this page at least once a week, because here in the announcements part, I can provide some announcements to you, and maybe I can share some more documents. For the time being, the old exams is empty. Okay, but when we will be coming closer to the midterm will be done on week 9. I will put here some exams, similar exams in my from my courses in Antalya Bilim University, and you will be able to see what type of exams I'm asking. Okay, what type of exams I'm doing. So you will be able to see the question types, and probably you will be better prepared for the exams. Any questions?